Yelena Belova, a highly trained Black Widow assassin, infiltrates a restricted facility with ease. Using her elite skills, she takes out every guard in her path. Once inside the research lab, she confronts the lead scientist who pulls a gun on her. But Yelena flips the situation, dodging his attacks and grappling him. In the struggle, the scientist accidentally kills himself. On her way out, Yelena triggers the bomb she planted and calls Valentina, confirming the mission is done. Meanwhile, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, CIA director and Contessa, is in court facing imminent impeachment. She's being charged for various illegal operations, including an unauthorized attempt to create a superhero for her own use. After the session, she orders her assistant, Mel, to eliminate any evidence, people, messages, anything that could land her in prison. That includes her own covert ops team. Elsewhere, Red Guardian, Russia's answer to Captain America, scrambles to clean his house when he hears Yelena at the door. He's like a father to her. They chat about life, but eventually, Yelena admits why she came. She wants to quit working for Valentina. Red Guardian disagrees. He'd do anything to work for Val again, desperate to redeem his past. He says his happiest days were when he was a superhero, worshipped like a god. After the visit, Yelena tells Valentina she'll do one last mission on the condition that she gets to be a public hero afterward, not just another shadow operative. Valentina agrees surprisingly easily. Yelena's next mission: infiltrate a warehouse holding sensitive assets from the Ox Group. Her orders are to secretly track a rogue operative, find out what they plan to steal, then eliminate them. Yelena slips into the facility undetected. During her recon, she finds incriminating evidence against Valentina. Suddenly, she's attacked by U.S. Agent John Walker, a super soldier. They engage in brutal hand-to-hand combat. John has the upper hand, and Yelena realizes he's not even her target. He says she's his. Before he can take her out, Taskmaster jumps in, claiming he's the one John was sent to kill. Ava Star Ghost enters the fray, targeting Taskmaster, while she is Yelena's target. The three operatives fight viciously, each acting on orders from Valentina to kill the others. Then Ava shoots Taskmaster in the head. Suddenly, a countdown begins. A strange man named Bob emerges from a sealed container. The entire facility goes into lockdown. At the same time, Valentina hosts a charity event to cover her tracks. Congressman Gary isn't fooled. He sees through the stunt and insists it's just a cover-up. Meanwhile, Bucky Barnes tries convincing Mel to leave Val, warning her of the danger. She's hesitant, but he hands her his card in case she changes her mind. Back at the warehouse, Bob introduces himself to the three survivors. As they argue about who the real villain is, they realize Valentina played them all, set up to destroy each other to protect her own reputation. They're just liabilities she needs gone. John demands answers from Bob, but Bob has no idea how he got there. He jokes about John being the fake Captain America, which earns him a slam into the wall. Yelena breaks up the fight. Ava tries to phase through a wall to escape, but a frequency barrier blocks her. They're trapped. Mel informs Valentina that the facility is fully locked down. Valentina tells her to burn it all, evidence and operatives alike. As the self-destruct countdown continues, the team scrambles to disable the frequency barrier. Ghost locates the system, and John smashes it. Ghost phases through the door, then opens it for the rest of them. They escape just before the explosion. Yelena has flashbacks, her initiation into the Red Room, setting up her own sister Anya to be killed. She and Bob both awaken from unconsciousness, holding hands. Mel breaks the news to Valentina they escaped. She warns they might have joined forces. Val brushes it off, calling them misfits. But Mel shows her security footage of the group and one unfamiliar face, Bob. Valentina orders her to find out who he is and activate the Bull Strike team to eliminate them. Red Guardian, now acting as their getaway driver, overhears everything. Inside, John pushes Bob for answers, but he's still clueless. After more taunting, John slams him into a wall, only to break it open, revealing an exit. Meanwhile, Bucky researches Valentina's schemes. Mel calls him. She now knows the truth, but refuses to testify. She's too afraid Valentina will retaliate. The group escapes, but face a new problem. John leaps upward, trying to find a way out, but can't reach the surface. Bob suggests they climb, backs against the wall, pushing each other upward. The climb seems endless, but turning back isn't an option. Mel reports back to Valentina with intel on Bob. He's the sole survivor of Project SENTRY. If the data's accurate, he might be the strongest human alive. Eventually, John reaches the top and helps the others up. But when he touches Bob, he's pulled into a vision, reliving Bob's most traumatic memory. Yelena snaps him out of it. They peek outside. Valentina's men have them surrounded. Ava is gone, having escaped on her own. Still, Yelena pushes ahead with a new plan. Valentina and Mel arrive to oversee the kill. She orders her men to use non-lethal force. The door blows open. The first strike team rushes in, but John Walker wipes them all out by himself. The second wave came crashing in, guns blazing. Yelena and Bob slipped into hiding, with Yelena systematically taking down any guard who dared cross their path. All the while, she shielded Bob, whom she still believed was too feeble to survive on his own. In a near miss, they almost shot John Walker by mistake. Afterwards, they disguised themselves in soldier uniforms and calmly walked out the front entrance, completely unnoticed. Outside, Ava Starr pulled up in a hijacked van, scooped them in, and they hit the road. But it wasn't long before their escape was interrupted. A military blockade brought the van to a screeching halt. Ava vanished into thin air. John tried to bluff their way out, claiming he was one of them. The soldiers weren't buying it. Tension crackled in the air. In a bold move, Bob fired a shot into the sky, drawing all eyes and guns toward himself. The distraction worked. The others bolted. Against Valentina's orders, every soldier opened fire on Bob, riddling his body with bullets as the team sped off. But Bob didn't die. Moments later, to everyone's shock, he stood up, completely unharmed, and soared into the sky like a rocket. Valentina and her entire unit stared upward in stunned silence. Yet, above the clouds, Bob panicked. Overwhelmed by fear, he blacked out midair and crash-landed, right back inside the facility he tried so desperately to escape. Valentina's mask of composure cracked, visible terror in her eyes. Meanwhile, Yelena showed John and Ava a note she'd nicked from the facility. It revealed the truth. Bob wasn't just another experiment. He was the only surviving subject of Project SENTRY, and now he had powers unlike anything they'd seen. The following morning, Valentina remained at the crash site, overseeing Bob's transfer to a more secure lab, this time inside the Watchtower, the former Avengers Tower in New York. She ordered her associate, Mel, to eliminate Yelena, John, and Ava, anyone left who knew too much. Somewhere out in the desert, Yelena and her team wandered alone until they spotted a suspicious limo. They prepared for the worst, until the driver stepped out. It was Red Guardian. He'd been moonlighting as a freelance chauffeur and had overheard Valentina's dark schemes. He tracked them down to help. Inside the limo, Red Guardian couldn't contain his glee. He was finally back in the suit, doing hero stuff. He even pitched a name for the team, inspired by Yelena's childhood football club, the Thunderbolts. Misfits though they were, he urged them to unite as heroes. Suddenly, John glanced back. Valentina's men were already on their tail. Bullets tore through the air. John used his shield to protect the group while Red Guardian scrambled to activate the limo's defense systems, which promptly failed. Ghost leapt out to engage, but the convoy emitted a frequency that paralyzed her powers, forcing a retreat. Yelena coolly took out one of the vehicles with a single precision shot. Then came the real surprise. A bomb from behind took out another car. From the dust emerged Bucky Barnes. Bucky wasn't messing about. He shot a grappling rope beneath the last convoy car, braced himself, and slammed the ground with such force that the entire vehicle flipped. Inside the limo, cheers erupted, until they realized something chilling. Bucky wasn't here to save them. He was hunting them. Back at the Watchtower, Valentina greeted Bob in a sealed chamber. She introduced herself gently, despite having previously ordered his death. Bob, confused and wary, asked about Yelena and the others. Valentina dismissed them as criminals and urged Bob to see himself as chosen special. She reached for his hand, and something dark snapped. A wave of blackness swallowed her mind, forcing her to relive her father's brutal murder. She jolted awake, shaken. Regaining her composure, she ordered Mel to prepare the press for a grand unveiling. Also, create a kill switch, just in case Bob went rogue. Meanwhile, Bucky had captured the Thunderbolts. He planned to use them as witnesses into Fontaine's impeachment. They told him everything, how Valentina tried to kill them, and how she'd taken control of Project SENTRY's last survivor for her own sinister agenda. Then came the unexpected call from Mel. She warned Bucky of Valentina's recklessness, urging him to stop her before it was too late. Convinced at last, Bucky freed the Thunderbolts and rallied them to rescue Bob. Red Guardian couldn't hide his delight. But Valentina discovered Mel's betrayal. After a cold, calculating lecture about how the world really works, she stormed off. Soon after, she began training Bob to control his powers. At first, he struggled, until he shattered a glass just by thinking about it. She told him he was limitless. Cue Bucky and the Thunderbolts. They rammed a van straight into the Watchtower and charged in, mowing down every agent in their path. But as they reached Valentina's chamber, she revealed it was all a trap. She'd let them in just in time for the press to witness their downfall. Then came the reveal. Valentina's secret weapon, Bob, now fully transformed into the SENTRY. They tried to reason with him. Yelena pleaded, but it was too late. SENTRY struck first, flattening Red Guardian. The others followed suit, attacking from all angles, but nothing worked. Bullets? Useless. Knives? Worthless. Speed? No match. SENTRY decimated the Thunderbolts single-handedly. Bucky was the last to fall, his metal arms scorched and broken. Valentina smiled smugly. She ordered SENTRY to kill them all. But he hesitated. "They're not a threat," he said. The team survived, but barely. Huddled together, they regrouped, trying to plan their next move. But Yelena shut them down, labeling them all losers. One by one, they walked away. But things got worse. SENTRY snapped. He turned on Valentina, realizing she would discard him too. In a fury, he slammed her against a wall and nearly choked her to death. Mel hit the failsafe. Bob collapsed. Only it didn't kill him. It unleashed the void. Darkness swept over the city as the void floated above, eyes burning with rage. Soldiers opened fire. He turned them to shadows. Helicopters rained bullets. He reduced them to nothing. Chaos consumed New York. The Thunderbolts, battered and broken, stepped in, not to fight, but to save lives. Red Guardian led the charge. Yelena and the rest followed. In a rare moment, the city hailed them as heroes. But the darkness grew deeper. The void began turning civilians into living shadows. It was irreversible. Yelena knew there was only one way to reach Bob's mind. She entered the shadow dimension, facing traumas from her childhood. Held down by nightmare memories, she fought her way through until she found Bob. He was hiding, afraid. She told him she didn't come to fight, just to talk. He let her in. But the shadows weren't done. They tried to kill them both. Just in time, the Thunderbolts burst in, fighting off the phantoms. Together, they traveled into Bob's worst memory, his experimentation. There they found the void. One by one, they were captured, until only Bob remained. The final battle began, Bob versus the void. Bob was losing, but then he saw Yelena barely breathing. Rage surged. He slammed the void down again and again. But he was slipping. Yelena intervened, reminding him he wasn't alone, that they were with him. The others broke free. Together, they held back the darkness. In a final act of unity, Bob overcame the void. Light returned. The darkness lifted. New York was free. Bob, however, had no memory of what he'd done. The Thunderbolts stormed toward Valentina, ready to end it. But she baited them into a public press conference. There she twisted the story, presenting herself as the architect of a new heroic age, with her Avengers leading the way. The Thunderbolts stood frozen, betrayed once again, powerless, in front of a roaring crowd. The movie then came to an end. Kindly subscribe for more movie recap like this. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.